Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to reading class. I am going to read chapters 14 and 15. And today you can just listen. You don't have to worry about, just think about your character, but I'm not going to have you fill out a sheet for it today. So just listen. I want to make sure I finish the book before we only have 1 week left, so I want to make sure I finish it. So just listen today and make sure you get your own reading done and make sure you're keeping up with fluency, okay? All right, so chapter 14. Sometimes I told Gloria the story Miss Franny Blackhead told me. Or I imitated Otis tapping on his pointy-toed boots and playing for all the animals, and that I always made her laugh. And sometimes I made up stories and Gloria Dump would listen to it all the way through from the beginning to end. And she told me she used to love to read stories, but she couldn't anymore because her eyes were so bad. Can't you get some really strong glasses? I asked her. Child, she said, they don't make glasses strong enough for these eyes. One day when the storytelling was done, I decided to tell Gloria that Otis was a criminal. I thought that maybe I should tell an adult about it, and Gloria was the best adult I knew. Gloria, I said. She said back. You know Otis? I don't know him, but I know what you tell me about him. Well, he's a criminal. He's been in jail. Do you think I should be afraid of him? What for? I don't know. For doing bad things, I guess. For being in jail. Child, said Gloria, let me show you something. She got up and out of her chair real slow and took hold of my arm. Let the two of us walk all the way to the back of this yard. Okay, I said. We walked and Winn-Dixie followed right behind us. It was a huge yard, and I had never been all the way in it. When we got to the big old tree, we stopped. Look at this tree, Gloria said. Look up. I looked up. There were bottles hanging from just about every branch. There were whiskey bottles, beer bottles, wine bottles, all tied with a string, and some of them were clanking against each other and making a spooky kind of noise. Me and Winn-Dixie stood and stared at the tree. The hair was on top of his head, rose right up a little bit, and he growled a little bit deep in his throat. Gloria Dump pointed at her cane at the tree. What do you think about this tree? I said, I don't know. Why are all those bottles on it? To keep the ghosts away, Gloria said. What ghosts? The ghosts of all the things I done wrong. I looked up at all those bottles on the tree. What? You did that many things wrong? I asked. Said Gloria. More than that. But you're the nicest person I know, I told her. There's whiskey bottles on there, I told her, and beer bottles. Child, said Gloria Dump, I know that, and I know who put them up there. I'm the one who drank them all. My mama drank, I whispered. I know it, Gloria said. The preacher said that sometimes she couldn't stop drinking. Said Gloria. That's the way it is for some folks. We get started and we just can't stop. Are you one of those people? Yes, ma'am, I am. But these days, I don't drink nothing stronger than coffee. Did the whiskey and the beer and the wine, did they make you do bad things so that they're ghosts now? Some of them, said Gloria. Some of them I wouldn't have done anyway, with alcohol or without, before I learned. Learned what? I learned the most important thing. What's that? I asked. Well, it's different for everyone, she said. You have to find that out on your own. But in the meantime, you've got to remember that you can't always judge people by the things that they've done. You judge them by what they're doing now. You judge Otis by the pretty music he plays and how kind he is to those animals, because that's all you know about him right now, all right? Yes, ma'am, I said. And them Dewberry boys, you try not to judge them too harsh either, all right? All right, I said. All right then, Gloria Dump said. And she turned and started walking. Winn-Dixie nudged me with his wet nose and his wagging tail. When he saw what I wasn't going, he trotted after Gloria. I stayed there for a while and examined the tree. I wondered if my mamma, whoever she was, had a tree full of bottles, and I wonder if I was a ghost to her. The same way she sometimes seemed like a ghost to me. So Gloria was just saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, make sure that, people do wrong things, but a lot of times they're sorry for it. So you have to just be their friend if they need it. Chapter 15. The Herman W. Black Memorial Library air conditioning unit didn't work very good, and there was only one fan. And from the minute me and Winn-Dixie got into the library, he hogged it all. He would lay right in front of it and wag his tail and let it blow its fur all around. Some of his fur was pretty loose, and it blew right off him like a dandelion puff. I worried about him hogging the fan, and I worried about the fan blowing him bald. Miss Franny didn't worry about a thing. That Winn-Dixie could hog the fan if he wanted to. She had never seen a dog in her life made bald by a fan. Sometimes when Miss Franny was telling me a story, she would have a fit. They were small little fits, and they didn't last long, but what happened was she had forgot what she was saying. Then she would just stop. She would start shaking like a leaf. And when it happened, Winn-Dixie would get up from the fan and sit right by Miss Franny's Black's side. He would sit up tall, protecting her, with his ears standing straight up on his head like soldiers. And when Miss Franny stopped shaking and started talking again, Winn-Dixie would lick her hand and lie back down in front of the fan. Whenever Miss Franny had one of her fits, it reminded me of Winn-Dixie in a thunderstorm. There were lots of thunderstorms that summer. Remember how crazy he went? And I got real good at holding on to Winn-Dixie whenever they came. I held on to him and comforted him and just whispered to him and rocked him, just the same way he had comforted Miss Franny when she had her fits. Only I held on to Winn-Dixie for another reason, too. I held on to him so tight so he wouldn't run away. It all made me think about Gloria Dump. I wondered who had comforted her when she had heard some of those bottles knocking together, those ghosts chattering about the things that she had done wrong. I wanted to comfort Gloria Dump, and I decided that the best way to do that would be to read her a book. Read it loud enough to keep those ghosts away. And so I asked Miss Franny. I said, Miss Franny, I've got a grown-up friend whose eyes are going on her, and I would like to read her a book out loud. Do you have any suggestions? Suggestions, Miss Franny said. Yes, ma'am, I have suggestions. Of course I have suggestions. How about Gone with the Wind? What is that about? I asked her. Why, said Miss Franny, it's a wonderful story about the Civil War. The Civil War, I said? Don't tell me that you have never heard of the Civil War. Miss Franny Black looked like she was going to faint. She waved her hand in front of her face. I know all about the Civil War, I told her. That was the war between the South and the North over slavery. Slavery, yes, said Miss Franny. It was also about states' rights and money. It was a terrible war. My great-grandfather fought in that war. He was just a boy. Your great-great-grandfather? Yes, ma'am. Litmus W. Black. Now there's a story. Winn-Dixie yawned real big and laid on his side with a thump and a sigh. I swear he knew what that phrase was. Now there's a story. And he knew it meant we weren't going anywhere real soon. Go ahead and tell me, Miss Franny, I said, and I sat down cross-legged next to Winn-Dixie, and I pushed him and I tried to get him to share the fan. He pretended he was asleep. And he wouldn't move. I was all settled in and ready for a good story when the door banged and pinch-faced Amanda Wilkinson came in. Winn-Dixie sat up and she didn't smile back, and so he laid back down. I'm ready for another book, Amanda said, slamming down her book down on Miss Franny's desk. Well, Miss Franny said, Maybe you wouldn't mind waiting. I'm telling India Opal a story about my great-grandfather. You are, of course, more than welcome to listen. It'll just be 1 minute." Amanda sighed, a really big dramatic sigh, and stared past me. She pretended like she wasn't interested. But she was, I could tell. "Come sit over here," said Miss Franny. "I'll stand, thank you," said Amanda. "Suit yourself." Miss Franny shrugged. "Now where was I? Oh, yes, Litmus. Litmus W. Block." And you're going to have to wait till the next time to hear the story. All right? I hope you're enjoying the book. And just make sure you're reading. Bye.